Okay, so let's get going on nutrition through the lifespan. It is important to start eating healthy before you. Yeah, that's my little sound effects. It is important to start eating healthy prior to pregnancy, so there is no malnutrition. The textbook talks a little bit about critical periods, and actually the first couple weeks are very critical in the development of the baby, which is why it's so important to be eating healthy at the time of conception, because those first few days are really when the baby has a critical period in development and needs all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients for health reasons. A lot of times people don't even know they're pregnant the first couple of weeks anyway, which is why we advocate for women of any childbearing age to be eating healthy in chance that they will get pregnant. Okay, so nothing you have to memorize here in terms of how much of each of these you have to increase. Just think about the idea that before pregnancy and then during pregnancy, the woman needs a little bit more of every vitamin and mineral. And here are some very important ones. But, you know, it's not that we need to start counting these for women. Or if you are pregnant, I would just advocate taking a multivitamin or mineral prenatal pill. And if you want to get pregnant, then you should probably start taking that prenatal pill several months before you even attempt to conceive. That way, these vitamins and minerals are in high levels in your body and could be passed on to the baby. Okay, if you weren't taking it and all of a sudden find out that you're pregnant, then just start taking it right away. Okay, so that's a prenatal supplement, and it has all the vitamins and minerals that I have listed on here for you. It also has it also has omega-3 fatty acids. So it has those healthy fats in a supplemental form when you take that pill. So look on the one you're buying. They are offered over the counter, and make sure that it has the healthy fat with it. Many of them now do. Interestingly enough, there was a lot of research done about the impact of healthy fat for the pregnant women and the baby. Clearly, the baby needs healthy fat, and all kids will. At least 30% of their diet should be healthy fat to develop their brain and central nervous system. It is vital for neurological development to have healthy fat. For the women, the same thing. We don't want to lose any function of our brain or central nervous system while pregnant. And what they actually were finding out is that women that had deficiencies in omega-3 during pregnancy had a lot of memory loss and higher rates of postpartum depression, which is depression that comes on after giving birth that will last potentially several months. And many women actually need treatment for that. So vital that the woman is getting healthy fat. She could certainly eat that in her diet. And we all know the sources of healthy fat, but she can also get it in supplemental form in that prenatal supplement. Okay, so we're going to increase calories. I think the textbook raised this from about 300 to like about 500 per day in the second and third trimester. So you see, it's not a huge increase in total caloric increase, but certainly the woman should. Okay, and this is kind of contingent on how many is she eating to begin with. If a woman needs 2,500 every day and that's what she's eating, when she gets pregnant in that second and third trimester, she's going to kick that up to 2,800 a day. If the woman is supposed to be getting 2,500 a day and she's already eating 4,000 a day and overweight, that doesn't mean she needs to add 300 more onto that 4,000. Do you understand that? So we're going off of that baseline, 300 more than what she typically would need on a normal metabolic level. And then I always like to mention that the woman should be gaining weight, because that would be the baby weight, right? It would be most of the weight a woman gains in pregnancy is water and then the baby. And with the water, it is not just bodily water, but also blood. And we know 90% of blood is made of water. So the woman will actually, I believe, like double her blood content plus the water the baby needs to survive. And the woman herself will also increase a bit of water weight. I don't memorize all these numbers. I memorize what is normal, which is, oh, I went too fast, sorry. 20 to 25 to 35 pounds is what a normal weight gain is for a woman of normal body composition going into the pregnancy. If the woman had underweight, we're going to go a little bit higher. If the woman was overweight, we're going to go a little bit lower. And then twins is higher as well. So instead of memorizing all these numbers, think about, even if you want simplicity's sake, like 30 pounds. Okay. Now, it's a good idea to know what to avoid and what to consume during pregnancy. You could probably guess what to consume is all the healthy foods. Does somebody have a question?
No, I'm just laughing at these baby sounds.
I usually use this PowerPoint when I'm teaching in class, and it's to help keep everybody wide awake when I'm teaching. But I think even in remote learning, it's going to be a little helpful. You hear that baby crying, and know that that's what you're going to hear when you're a parent, guys and girls. You're going to hear a lot of that. All right, so we know the healthy food to eat. Let me just talk a moment on the foods to avoid. And again, instead of memorizing everything on this list, I like to teach it this way. Don't eat foods that have a high risk of foodborne illness. Don't eat anything that could potentially be a drug or have a heavy metal in it. Okay, so we're avoiding drugs, avoiding metals, and then avoiding things that are higher risk for foodborne illness. So we know what the drugs are, right? And you're not even supposed to take over-the-counter unless you're recommended to do so by your doctor, because a lot of over-the-counter drugs could be dangerous for the baby. So you need to speak with your doctor. Certainly any prescription drugs or supplements even, you got to speak with the doctor. No amount of alcohol is safe, and I put this little acronym here. It would be forced fetal alcohol syndrome. We don't want the baby under any influence of drug. Again, 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol in an adult probably not going to do much damage, but in a very tiny baby, whatever mom has is passed through to that baby too. It could potentially damage the development of the baby. So we're going to avoid drugs. We're going to, even caffeine is on here. It's a little controversial. I know some doctors say like maybe 1 glass of coffee per day. But if we're staying near the recommended dose of no more than 400 milligrams, even at 400 milligrams, the risk would be an underdeveloped baby or early labor if we had too much stimulant or caffeine drugs. Go ahead. Did I have a question?
Yeah, I was just looking at the caffeine as well. I had my friend when she was pregnant. It was interesting because that was like my first hand at seeing like what a caffeine addiction looks like. Because like she was losing it. But she basically had to ended up caving and having a small coffee a day because she was so cranky. Like she was addicted to Starbucks. And when she got pregnant, that was the main issue. She was like, I have to have my coffee.
It's hard. I'm a person who drinks coffee. I would hate not having my coffee. It's hard, especially if you're really, really addicted. Now, Starbucks has a lot of caffeine. So coming down off of that high, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms. I don't know if you've ever been through caffeine withdrawal, but it is pretty brutal. You can have headaches, feel tired, feel irritable, anxiety, insomnia, lots of issues with coming down off of caffeine. I only actually drink 1 or 2 cups a day, and even if I don't have my 1 or 2 cups, I feel the withdrawal symptoms. I'm not happy about that. Talk to your doctors if you're with ladies, and guys, pay attention, because if you are with a woman who doesn't have the education, you could guide that woman. The woman may say, well, should I have coffee or not? Should I have alcohol or not? Guys, you can guide that woman. But with the caffeine, if you have, again, no other health problems, and you want to have like 1 cup a day, it would probably be okay. And I say 1 cup of home brewed. Let me make that stipulation. Not a mega dose from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, but like one, and home brewed has less caffeine than, but one normal, not super shot of any kind of caffeine. Any other comments on that? All right. A lot of people have a hard time understanding where we would get metals from, but there were cases where some of the water might have lead or mercury in it, the tap water. Some of the animals, if you are somebody who fishes or hunts, there is a potential that the fish or the animals could have this in their body if they're soaking it up from the environment, the lead or the mercury. So you just kind of be careful if you're eating any wild caught animals, ocean caught animals, or the water supply. Okay, and you may have heard the horror stories about Flint, Michigan. They had lead in their water supply. It was causing cancers. We had one really close to home. It was Crestwood. It wasn't one of these heavy metals, but it was definitely chemicals were found in the well water people are drinking in Crestwood, Illinois, and that was causing problems. So as far as the lead and mercury goes, you got to watch those wild caught animals. And I have a slide in a moment. We'll talk about which fish to avoid. Just during pregnancy or for the kids, we kind of want to push that off. It's not going to do too much to an adult in terms of the lead that might be in the animal or the mercury that might be in the fish. Probably a bigger risk if it's in the water supply. Foods to increase, all the good stuff. So that's to remind you to increase water. We don't want any woman dehydrated. Actually, being dehydrated will cause a woman to go into early labor. That's why a lot of women in summer, if it's really hot and humid, there's an increased risk they'll go into premature labor. So you got to make sure that they are well hydrated with the electrolytes and water. And when we increase those calories, say we're doing an extra, 400 calories a day in the second and third trimester, you want 60% of that to be carbs, 20% protein, 20% fat. Don't limit yourself on healthy fats during pregnancy. Increase the fiber so the women can have a healthy GI system. Some women get constipated. I know a lot of my friends ended up with hemorrhoids during labor. Okay, so hemorrhoids is something that occurs where the blood vessels kind of come out of the anal canal when you're pushing, when you're pressing, when you're making a lot of force. And that could potentially happen during labor. Something women don't talk about a lot, but apparently it happens. So we got to be aware of that and careful. Okay, so as a quick overview, we're going to eat all the healthy foods, fruits and vegetables, high fiber, whole grains, nuts and seeds. Avoid anything that might cause foodborne illness. Undercooked foods, raw foods. I would avoid going to buffets, and not that we have them during COVID, but like pre-made sandwiches at the stores, I'd rather make your own. You just don't want to get foodborne illness. And then watch the drugs and the metals. I know that sometimes lunch meat was a controversy for women. They say if, lunch meat does have a higher risk of foodborne illness because it's chopped up, and sometimes it's not a whole piece of meat. It's more or less processed and chopped up and then formed together in a big block. Like think of ham or salami. They actually recommend to reduce the risk of foodborne illness that the woman would microwave if she's going to eat the lunch meat. Kind of put it on a plate, microwave it for like 10 seconds to kill any potential listeria that might be on that food, and then make the sandwich. If you don't want to go through all that trouble, pick something else. Just don't eat the lunch meat during pregnancy. Okay, so breastfeeding. When I was a kid, it didn't happen a lot. I was a baby in the 70s. today, more and more people are doing it. Why do you think that changed? Where when I was younger, not so many, and then today, a lot more people are. Why do you guys think that was a change?
I think a couple of things were, once again, kind of in the 70s and 80s was the boom of that transition of women going into the workplace. I think there were less opportunities for mothers, especially working mothers, to be able to breastfeed. They didn't have things like, now they're building things like nursing rooms and moms rooms. There's a lot more advocacy for public, breastfeeding in public, whereas I feel like before it was definitely faux pas to breastfeed. And there was also less, wide world, like I guess less public knowledge of the nutritional benefits of breastfeeding. These are all assumptions. I don't know.
Right. Great summary. Great summary. Now there's more education that the benefits of breastfeeding is the best thing for the baby. Anyone else have a comment before I add to that? But that was definitely right. It was maybe less of a cultural norm than it is today. More availability to do so today, especially if you're out in public. Anybody else? I think right about the time I was born, they actually invented formula. And so all the moms wanted to try that out. They thought that was the new and best thing to do for their baby, so they were buying that. And it's okay. The formula is fine. And it's actually life-saving to many babies because some moms have trouble with the amount of milk they could produce. Some babies do not latch onto the mom very easily. And so the formula could actually be life-saving to some babies. So it's a great thing. And I think people really wanted to try it out back then. And they thought that was just something new and something that they might feel that was appropriate culturally. We now know that the breast milk is the healthiest thing for the baby. And if you look at all of these things that help with the baby, I would say the last one is probably the most important. That immunity that mom has will be given to the baby. And that happens really quickly. And this slide says within the first 3 days. The first week that baby breastfeeds, they're going to gain a lot of immunity. So even if we have a mom that doesn't necessarily want to breastfeed, I would encourage them knowing that immunity is what's passed on to the baby, to at least do it for like a week. It's challenging, okay? If you've never been in a situation where you were firsthand breastfeeding or guys trying to help or assist with the breastfeeding, some babies latch on right away and mom produces a ton of milk and it's great and it's happy. Some babies don't know how to do it. Some babies have to kind of be guided and taught. Some moms don't produce a ton of milk right away. And I say this with C-sections, mom won't produce milk for the first few days. Labor in itself, if a woman goes into labor for childbirth, the hormones are secreted that the body will actually start producing breast milk during labor. If the woman doesn't go into labor, if it's a scheduled C-section, emergency C-section, we don't have those hormones being produced. And mom won't have milk when that baby comes. And what then will need to be done is when the baby starts latching on and sucking, the actual sucking mechanism will stimulate mom to produce the milk, but it'll take a couple days. And in the meantime, that baby is losing weight. And that's sometimes where formulas come in. Maybe we can use the formula for a couple days and then still breastfeed. Or some moms do combination. They breastfeed, but then, if they're going out to work and they can't, then they use supplement of formula during that period of time. So it's not always just a one or none thing. You could do a combo. But breast milk is what they say the most whole type of nutrient for a baby. So we don't have to worry really about what's in it. Everything the baby would need is in the breast milk. And probably important to note, though, that the mom's diet will impact that a bit. So we want mom to be eating really healthy during this period of time to provide those nutrients to the baby. Okay. So the woman should increase her calories as she did during pregnancy, maintain that during breastfeeding. It is very challenging. I talk to moms that are in my classes all the time. Many of moms, including myself, will say it's a hard thing to do. You must feel like after you're done breastfeeding, you just worked out. You're losing water, you're losing energy, which could potentially be good if you want to help, right, lose some body weight if you are overweight after pregnancy. But you're going to be tired. So you need the extra calories, you need the extra water. I always say, have a snack next to you and available whenever you're breastfeeding. That might be in the baby's nursery, it might be next to you on the couch or in your bedroom. Have water, have a snack, okay? Because it's going to take a lot of energy. Whatever mom eats will be given to the baby, whether that is over-the-counter drugs, supplement, alcohol, caffeine. Unfortunately, we have cases of illegal drugs also. So we're maintaining that. Don't eat anything that's going to cause foodborne illness. Don't use unnecessary drugs, and watch if potentially there is any lead or mercury. So we have this nice baby, average weight 7 to 9 pounds. Do I have any parents in class, guys or girls? Anybody want to share what their baby's weight was upon birth?
My little one was 7 pounds and 11 ounces.
Right there in the middle of the average. Good job. You have one?
Yeah, I only have one. She's 2 years old now.
And I want to see. I can't identify who was talking. Who is this that I'm talking with right now?
Anastasia.
Anastasia, great. So 2 years old. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've successfully fed that baby for 2 years now. You can probably give us all some advice. Even myself, even though I know all about it, once you get your hands in there and are feeding a baby of yourself, you learn kind of on the go, right? So my baby was big. It's sometimes shocking to even say that, but my firstborn was about 11 pounds, just slightly under 11 pounds. And I did have gestational diabetes with him. I mentioned that to you guys before, and we'll learn more about that in a moment. But when you have gestational diabetes, you tend to have really big babies. I like to explain it as the kid is having a sugar party. Mom's blood glucose is high, baby has all this sugar, keeps growing, keeps growing, keeps growing. Tend to have big babies. My son is also huge right now. He is 5'10". And how tall is he? I'm going to go back and see who's in the chat room. 5'10" and about 175 pounds. He just turned 13. So I have big kids. And the reason I say this, I'll get to Michael in a moment. The reason I say this is I do think a lot of this is genetic. My second son, I can say I ate a ton more calories with the second one when I was pregnant. He was only 8 pounds, 5 ounces. He's a big boy too. I think a lot of this weight, not only for the baby, but also the weight in adulthood, is kind of dictated by genetics, could be manipulated with lifestyle behaviors, but not so much unless we're malnourished. Like the height and the size of the person is probably a lot of genetics. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
No, I just thought it's funny that you said that, like, because my mom also had gestational diabetes when she had me, but I was a preemie. I was supposed to be born in the first week of like August, the first or second week, and I was born on June 29th instead.
Oh, wow.
And I was like teeny tiny.
Do you know how many pounds you were?
No, but I
You don't
can
remember.
say that I was definitely under because they instantly like put me into like the oxygen bubble and like hooked me up and like
Yeah.
I was puny. Like you probably
Yeah.
could like a softball, like two of them would be bigger than me.
Wow. Did you see pictures when you were a baby? Did they have pictures that
Yeah,
they showed?
I have pictures of like everything, but it was just
Yeah.
weird. It looked like it almost looked like one of the baby like ICUs, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was like in a little like bubble, and when growing up, I was always like, why was I in that? But I was a preemie by like a couple weeks.
Mhm. And are you of average size now, or you feel you're still a little bit under?
No, like I'm of average size. It took me
Okay.
longer to like reach it.
Mhm.
Like it took me to like junior year of high school to get like my growth spurt. When I went like all through freshman and sophomore year of high school, I was like 5'2", 5'3", and now I'm 6'1".
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you've caught up. And
Yeah.
that's good news, right? That's good news for us that if we hear stories of a preemie that, we're not destined to be, to have a baby or a child that's always small, that they can definitely catch up. That's also a good example of the risks, though, that having preterm delivery of the baby could have. Actually, class, the size of a baby really doubles in the last month. So up until month 8, the baby may only be about 3 pounds, 4 pounds, and that last month is when they really double their weight, getting us closer to the 8-pound mark. I believe they said something like a pound a week even in that last month is what those babies. So I know my doctor encouraged me to try to remain pregnant because I kept going into preterm labor with my second, because primarily dehydration. I had foodborne illness the one time that caused preterm labor. And then ladies, and actually guys know this too, hot and humid summer is brutal to be in your 8th and 9th month. If you're getting dehydrated, even if you're not someone who normally gets dehydrated, it's real easy during pregnancy, and that'll spur the preterm labor. So we want to stay pregnant as long as we can, to try to get to the best chances for health. Now, the baby will lose weight the first week as it learns to breastfeed or eat formula, because everything was coming through that umbilical cord. They didn't have to work for it. Now the baby has to work for it. And some babies right away, they know exactly what to do as a reflex in terms of, consuming the food from mom. Other babies, it takes time for them to learn what to do. It is normal to have a baby lose a little bit of weight, and then once they start a good eating pattern, gain that back. Nothing here you need to memorize, but just know that usually by 1 year old, we multiply their birth weight by 3, and that's what we're aiming for. Okay. Now we get to how often to feed this baby. Hopefully, parents, again, guys and girls, you have someone to help guide you. There are resources when the baby is born. What are they called? They have, it'll come to me. They actually have resources at the hospital to help new mothers learn to breastfeed and or feed their baby. But also current parents.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's one called Leche League
Yes, yes.
that helps, or at least that was the one offered to me when I was learning how to breastfeed.
Thank you for that reference. That is one, definitely. Take advantage of that, parents. Guys, too. Sometimes the mom is exhausted or not able to kind of care for herself as much, but you can reach out to references. And a lot of these people that are here to help new parents, there is no cost. Also reach out to obviously family and friends that are parents already, and they're willing to help. Don't be afraid to ask for help for whether it is feeding the baby, helping take care of the baby, getting a break. Definitely needed. The baby is going to eat often. This is my whole point of this. I would say every 2 to 3 hours for the first few weeks, and that could be exhausting for a new parent. I know my child woke up for food at least every 2 hours. Sometimes it was an hour and a half for the first year and a half of his life. The deal with with that child was he was just a big boy. So he was going through that milk within an hour and a half, 2 hours, needed more. Smaller babies maybe don't go through it as fast, but this is normal to have to feed the child every 2 to 3 hours, including during the evening. I hear these stories about a parent has a baby and the baby sleeps through the night as soon as they come home. It's shocking to me. Mine didn't sleep through the night till I think they were like 3, and the other one I think still gets up at 10, 10 years old. It says here by 8-month-old, the baby will start to feed itself. I want to point out a really important time to start feeding what we would consider soft foods or baby foods about the time of 4 to 6 months. Right about 4 to 6 months, we should introduce what we would call soft baby food. Some people make their own, some people buy it in a jar. But what we're thinking of is really, it's kind of more like a smoothie consistency than food consistency. You've all seen what baby food looks like. It's liquid. They have no teeth. They don't chew. They just have to be able to swallow it. So we have to make it that thin. People that maybe, have any of you ever made your own baby food?
I attempted it and
Okay.
it lasted maybe 2 months. And then I just turned to just freezing it and turning it into popsicles because that was how my little one liked eating it. She loves popsicle type of like foods. So it just made it easier that way. She used to like smoothies, but now that she's a toddler, she's like in her phase of, I don't want to try it yet. And she just couldn't, yeah, she's kind of impatient. She sticks to what she knows and stuff like that.
Okay. I think someone else had maybe a comment or question for you. Did another person want to talk?
Yeah, back when I was in college, I like purposely got a job at Babies R Us for the discount because my baby sister was born at that time. I wanted to get her stuff, but one of the things that amazed me was the amount of food that like ended up being thrown out due to mold.
Really?
Like Gerber food, yeah. And so like after seeing all that, I'm like, nope. So I started like, learning. And I wish there was like YouTube and all that stuff back then. It was kind of like new at that point. But yeah, I definitely started like putting stuff in like a blender. I remember making like puree peas and carrots and peaches and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, she's not eating this.
Yeah, I kind of did a combo. I did buy some baby food, but we also would make stuff. And the way I would make it is with either breast milk or formula. You use that as kind of the base and then mix the food in with that. So whether it was bananas or something really soft like strawberries, but I would make it real like liquidy. You can use those blender kind of things. So I kind of did a combination. But the key point here is about that 4 to 6 month period. I've read research where they said that's the ideal time. And if we wait too long or introduce it too early, it increases the risk for obesity and diabetes later in life. So teaching a baby to eat, giving them the proper nutrients will impact their weight as an adult. So it's really important that we follow some of these research-based evidence at this point in time. And I think that if it's a bigger child, you're going to want that baby to start eating more at 4 months. If it's lesser weight, then we could probably wait till like 6 months. But you'll know. They always say when the baby looks at you when you're eating and starts making motions like chewing, that they're probably ready for solid, soft, the soft liquidy food like applesauce. The cereal, it looks more like a smoothie than cereals, things like that. We want to keep the baby on breast milk and formula for a year. And then at 1 year age is the earliest you want to introduce whole milk, which would be from another animal like a cow's milk. But plenty of people continue with that formula or breastfeeding after a year old. So it's a personal preference after that point of time. But I would encourage parents, keep on the formula or breast milk till 1 year old, and then make the personal decision yourself. We offer one new food at a time to see if the baby's allergic. So if we're going to do carrots 1 week, no problems, then move on to peas. Do it for a full week. But don't introduce 2 new foods at once, because if that baby breaks out with a rash, you're not going to know which of the 2 it was. So that's why we do 1 new food at a time. Here's some foods people are allergic to. So we're just going to watch when we introduce these. I could put on here some of the things you guys said. I think in the past, some of you had said like melons. I know that my brother's kids are all allergic to peas and nuts and seeds and things like that. So just be aware that even the eggs, orange juice could cause problems. Now we're getting to older age. I don't want you giving any food like this to children. I would hesitate to say even 3 years or younger, okay? I was always overly precautious with these foods, even to the point of today, you know. Watch when the kids are eating, and what I can say is, those of you that have been around babies, every child will choke. And you want to minimize the risks and the dangers. So these are some of the more common foods kids choke on. Make sure the foods are mashed up, small, cut up. I would cut grapes. I would cut blueberries. If the kid is going to school, ask them if they're providing a school lunch. A lot of times preschool, kindergarten, they get the lunch at the school, but ask them, what are your precautions for choking? Are there people watching the children? Are you guys cutting up the fruit, the grapes, even the strawberries, blueberries? Is it being cut for the child? But take preventative care that if the child is with you, but if not, also that they're not choking risks. There's controversy about these things, but again, probably nothing to a child or toddler. I know some cultures do a lot of honey, but apparently there is bacteria in honey, and for adults it's actually beneficial. If it's raw honey, it's actually very beneficial, but it could overwhelm the immune system of a baby. So for the raw honey, we probably don't want to give that until 2 years or older. Caffeine, you guys could critically think, do we want to give a child a drug? You're probably not giving a kid a cup of coffee. They're not going to drink it. But what about those sodas? If there's caffeine in the soda, you know, they're going to get that. The corn, just some belly aches could cause with that outer husk. I have a quick video I want you guys to see about kids. And then we'll move on. Kids and eating. I have 2 quick videos. Let's go. Healthy eating and nutrition for children.
Welcome to this session on healthy eating and nutrition for children ages 6 to 12.
Let me see. I know that.
Childhood Matters Coalition Toronto.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I want to see if I can get those closed captions. I know that we had some requests for that in the past. So let's go.
Welcome to this session on healthy eating and nutrition for children ages 6 to 12. Presented by Middle Childhood Matters Coalition Toronto. In this session, you'll learn why a healthy diet is very important for your child, how to make healthier food choices, and how to encourage a positive attitude toward food. Let's get started. Why is it so important for your child to have a healthy diet? Because eating well helps your child have more energy, stronger muscles and bones, a healthy body weight, lower risk of disease, and better overall health. So what does a healthy diet for your child look like? A healthy diet is one that includes a wide variety of nutritious foods. When preparing meals for your child, follow Canada's Eat Well plate. Fill approximately half the plate with vegetables and fruits. fill about 1/4 with whole grain products and about 1/4 with protein-rich foods. Add a glass of milk or water to complete the meal. Now here are some tips and tricks to help you make healthier food choices. Serve fruit instead of fruit juice. This adds fiber to your child's diet. Keep some chopped vegetables in the fridge and fruit in a bowl on the counter so that they are ready to eat. Frozen fruits and vegetables are also a healthy choice and can be less expensive than fresh items. Instead of white bread, have whole grain and multigrain. Similarly, choose brown rice or whole wheat pasta when preparing meals. Try different grain products such as pot barley, bulgur wheat, quinoa, and wild rice. Eat more plant-based sources of protein, such as beans, lentils, and tofu. Try to eat at least 2 servings of fish per week. And limit deli meats that contain high amounts of sodium or salt, such as bacon, ham, hot dogs, pepperoni, and salami. Serving 2 cups of milk every day can help your child's bone development. If choosing alternatives like soy or almond milk, make sure they're fortified. This means nutrients like calcium or vitamin D have been added. Avoid sugar-sweetened drinks, such as pop and fruit drinks. They have a lot of calories, but contain few or no nutrients. Encourage your child to drink water, and pack a reusable water bottle for school and other outings. Remember all these tips when you're shopping at the grocery store. Good choices start there. Now that you know what foods your child should be eating and how to select the best options, how do you get your child on board? Follow these tips with your child to build a positive attitude toward food. Here's a list of do's. Prepare meals with your child. They are more likely to eat food if they're involved in making it. Experiment with new foods. And remember, it can take several tries before your child enjoys eating something new. Lead by example. Your child is more likely to try new foods if you eat them too. Turn off the TV and put away toys during mealtime. Children eat better without these distractions. Here is a list of don'ts. Don't force feed your child. Let them decide how much they want to eat. Avoid skipping meals. Make it a routine and offer your kids healthy meals and snacks at scheduled times throughout the day. Avoid using food as a reward or punishment, as this can develop a negative attitude toward food. Have meals together as a family. Eating well adds enjoyment to life, and cooking with family and friends makes preparing meals more fun. It's also a great way to pass along cooking skills and learn about traditional or cultural foods.
I absolutely love that video. I think it's a good synopsis of things we've already learned. And more important for the kids, but definitely important for us as well. I have one more short video and then we'll have some comments from the class. This is a topic that a lot of people don't know about, some nutritionists not even, but the benefits of having family dinner. Whatever family yours consists of, could be one other person, could be the whole group of people, but eating together is what's important. Eating together with other people. And we'll listen to her report here on the benefits of having family dinners.
Simple as sitting down together for dinner with your children may keep them away from smoking, drinking, and drugs. A new survey out this morning finds that teens who have dinner with the family fewer than 3 times a week are twice as likely to use tobacco and alcohol and 1.5 times more likely to smoke marijuana. Early Show contributor Dr. Jennifer Hartstein, a child and adolescent psychologist, is here now with more. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we should point out, it seems like a no-brainer, but I think it's important to clarify, you can't just sit down and eat with your kids. You actually have to talk to them about their lives.
Absolutely. It's important to sit down, open conversation, ask what's going on, share with them what's going on for you, really make it a dialogue at the dinner table. which I think is really important and something that's getting lost in our very busy lives.
Because we are all so busy. And this study, which was done by the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, which is very reputable, shows they'll drink less, smoke less, won't turn to drugs.
Right.
But there are other things as well that have been proven to go down as a result of having family dinners.
Yes, it shows that it's a protective factor for so many risky behaviors. They're going to have less mental illness. They're going to be more open. It's going to help them in school. It's going to promote positive behaviors and decrease a lot of the negative behaviors we talk so much about. So anyway, you look at it, it's a protective factor to sit and have dinner together.
And that's because the more you know, the likelier you are to raise a healthier kid.
Absolutely. And the more the kids feel connected to you, the more likely they are to come and talk to you.
When something is wrong.
When something's wrong, when they need help, if something's going on. So how great to have open communication back and forth so that you can really encourage that in your house.
That realistically is easier said than done.
All of these
how
things.
do we make time in our crazy lives to do this?
It's really, really hard. So there's a couple things to think about. We schedule our lives so much. So the first thing we can try and do is schedule it in as much as anything else. 2 or 3 times still is a better amount than no times at all. So really try and find the time to do that in your lives.
It's the first thing to go, though, when other things come up. So if you do schedule it in, you should stick to it.
It's
not a schedule
non-negotiable.
that you can cancel.
No, it's a non-negotiable. Make it happen every time. If you say that Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday we're having dinner, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday it has to happen. And if you have to cancel, reschedule another night.
All right. And I know that
Tech-free.
that's what I was going to say. In my
Yes.
house, sometimes we're guilty. The TV's on in the background, or my husband or I have the BlackBerry.
Yes, and you're not setting a great example for kids either. So you really want to make it a tech-free zone. There are no technology on the table. The TV's off. Interactions, conversation with one another. That's going to be key in all of this.
All right. And what else? Do you want to be pointed in your questions? You just want to have a free-flowing conversation?
You know, open-ended questions, think it through, leave it open, and you also want to make it a group effort. Try and do this together. Maybe Sunday, everybody works together in the kitchen to plan for the meals for the week so that you run in and you can just make it happen.
All right. And it's not just about dinner. Just find quality time, any time during the day that you can squeeze it in.
Any time that's a teachable moment is really important.
Thank you, Dr. Jennifer.
Okay, that is it for the videos I wanted to show you. What did you guys think about those 2 videos?
I think it was great. It's a good reminder that eating meals together is really and really affects your mood and social life and benefits it. And yeah, I think the other video is great too.
Yeah, not just for the kids too, but for us as adults. It's so important to be able to sit down with someone and share that meal with tech-free, but be able to have someone to talk to is kind of like a mini support group, right? So that's a great time to educate kids on the benefits of food and health. I thought it was good that they talked about having them help prepare the food so we can teach them that skill as well. Anyone else? Comments on those videos?
Something I've always wanted to do, like now that I have my, that I'm an adult and have my own place. I remember as a kid kind of like lamenting the fact that we never sat at the table and ate, especially when because we had like a good dinner table. Like, why don't we use it?
Right, right. And don't be opposed to doing it now. Like even as adults, like the benefits. If I sat down with luckily my father is still alive, but sitting down with even an older person, both would benefit from that. I think socially it's so important to eat together as a group. Okay, I want to move on one more quick item before we go to our group. We know all about how to eat as an adult. There are a couple of considerations I want you guys to take into account for seniors. The top senior nutritional concerns. And there is a video you guys can watch on your own here. It's only 3 minutes. It's in the learning module. But a lot of times there's no desire to eat. And if you look at this little screen here, the blue part is this lack of desire to eat. That could be for multiple reasons. People do lose their appetite and their thirst mechanism as they age. Sometimes it's emotional. If they don't have anyone to eat with, it could be harder to say, yeah, I'm going to sit down and eat because now I'm alone. So encourage eating with another person. Sometimes they lose their partner, their spouse, their brothers, their kids, whatever it might be, and they don't want to eat by themselves. Sometimes they're on medication that impacts appetite, or they have an illness that they just don't feel like eating. So all of these concerns make up like half of our nutrition senior concerns: the lack of desire to eat for social emotional reasons, illnesses or medication side effects. We want to get to a healthy weight by age 60, and then at that point, we want them to maintain that weight. There is some evidence that says if people lose weight after the age of 60, it actually decreases their longevity. So I always tell people, get to a healthy weight by the time you're 60 and then stay there. We don't want older people on diets and losing weight, because it does increase more chance of less functionality, but also the longevity. I wanted to mention dehydration. Thirst mechanism does go down a lot as we age, and a lot of the seniors don't want to drink water. This could lead to kidney stones. This could lead to dehydration. I believe it's one of the #1 causes. I'm not going to say the #1, but one of the top causes that seniors go to emergency rooms is that they're dehydrated. So encourage seniors, think of it, one day you will be a senior. In the back of your mind, I got to keep drinking my water. I got to keep drinking my water, because we don't want that to be a complication for other illnesses. All right, so those were a couple of things. You can watch this video to talk a little bit more about senior considerations. Do I have questions about nutrition through the lifespan? By now, you should have the ability to know what to eat for a pregnant woman, what to avoid during pregnancy. About 400 extra calories a day for a pregnant woman, should gain about 30 pounds. The baby should be born about 8 pounds. Breastfeeding is the preferred method. However, sometimes that's not optional. Baby's going to eat every 2-3 hours. We want to keep breast milk up through 1 year. And maybe about the age of 4 to 6 months, introduce soft, solid foods. Okay. And then 1 new food at a time to ID allergies. But the habits are important. What we give our kids in terms of food will become their habit throughout their life. And then we talked a little bit about, kids' nutrition in there. For the seniors, we just got to make sure they keep eating nutritious, keep drinking, and look at the social, emotional aspects of eating for them. Okay. No questions. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to get going on Thursday's assignment. You don't have to do anything at home. You could do this all in class. It's up to you. If you want to get a little head start, you can do a bit. That's not what I wanted for my group assignment. I want to open the PowerPoint real quick. You're going to be broken up into a group, and you guys are going to research one eating disorder. And hopefully this is the right one. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, here are the eating disorders. I'm going to write this. I don't know how to share this. I don't know if I can share this if you are in a group. That's my dilemma. I want you guys to pick one of these eating disorders. Can you see them on your screen now? There's 6 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to pick an eating disorder. And then with the eating disorder, your group is going to, I call it a project, but you're going to do 4 things. So you might want to jot this down on a piece of paper. I'll give you a minute to get a piece of paper. Whichever eating disorder you get, you're going to want to do these 4 things. And so if you're in a group, I'll try to make the groups 4 people. You each want to take like one of these things for that eating disorder. For instance, if you were given anorexia, someone would do the etiology, the cause of it. Someone would write down the signs and symptoms of anorexia. The third person would write down prevention or treatment options. And the fourth person would find a very short video that you can show in class. And those videos, like how I have, we're aiming at like 1 to no more than 5 minutes, because we want to be able to get through all of them. So you will be put in a group. I'm going to try to do four people per group. I'm not sure how many are in class right now. Once you're in your group, I will go group to group to group to tell you which eating disorder to do. Okay? When I give you that eating disorder, just someone or all of you decide, divvy up who's doing what. Who's doing the etiology, who's doing sign and symptom, who's doing prevention and treatment, and who's finding the short video. You'll have like 10 minutes to work together today to figure that out. When you come to class Thursday, we'll continue. First 15 minutes, I'll give you group time. And then after that, we're going to spend the following hour, you guys present to the class, okay, in your group. So you will verbally talk. The best thing probably is to send me the video link so that I can show that for your eating disorder. And then you guys, obviously the people will talk about that. Do you have questions about the project? No questions? There are 6 eating disorders: anorexia, bulimia, muscle dysmorphia, binge eating, female athlete triad, and orthorexia. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let me jot something down real quick. Give me a second.
Dr. Murphy,
Yep.
how are we gonna do we email you the video or just tell you in class before our presentation?
I would say if you could email it to me,
All right, got it.
then I'll be able to pull it up before class. Try to do it before class. That way I can pull it up. I'm laughing to myself because I am a parent. And this is what I would tell my child. Not that your children, but my advice is not to only pick the first video that pops up on YouTube. I tell this to my son all the time. He will Google something, and it's always the first link that pops up he uses. Go through them, pick one that you really feel is educational to teach people about this eating disorder. I think most of you already knew that, but being a parent, that's the first thing that pops in my head when I give an assignment kind of like that. All right, let me see. I've got 19 people in class. If we do 4 groups, that would be 16. If we do 5 groups, one of them will be 3. Let's see what happens. We might try to do 5 groups. You're all thinking, oh gosh, I want to be in the one with 4. And then we have 6 eating disorders. I could always do 1, and then the rest will be your job. So this is a good precursor to getting your icebreaker for when you have to do your flyer. So you kind of get used to presenting in this format. I'm going to break into groups. I'm going to come by each group and tell you which eating disorder to do. Again, it is etiology, signs and symptoms, treatment prevention, and then a video. Okay, I am working on the breakout groups right now. And I will come by and tell you which eating disorder in a moment.